September 29, 2025, a date that will be etched into the memory of the region as tensions in the South China Sea reach a new boiling point. The headlines blare, Chinese swarm returns to Julian Felipe Reef. Newsrooms across Asia scramble to cover the unfolding crisis, as the world's attention zeroes in on this remote but vital reef. Over 200 Chinese vessels anchor defiantly in Philippine waters, their presence impossible to ignore. The sheer scale of the flotilla is staggering, a show of force that sends a chilling message. Once again, a massive flotilla of Chinese maritime militia, disguised as fishing boats, forms an intimidating wall within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone. Their formation is precise, calculated, and unmistakably aggressive. These are not fishermen. Their spotless decks and missing gear reveal their true purpose: state-sponsored intimidation. Not a single net in sight, only the silent threat of occupation. The standoff is stark. Chinese vessels, steel and disciplined, ignore all calls. Radio silence is their answer, their crews standing watchful and unmoved. Philippine patrol ships, smaller but resolute, circle and document every move. Outnumbered but undeterred, they gather evidence, their cameras clicking as they face down the giant. The message is clear: this water is ours. The Chinese flag flutters defiantly, a symbol of Beijing's unyielding claim. This is not open warfare but a war of presence, China's infamous cabbage strategy, layering the reef with ships to block access. Each new arrival tightens the noose, making the reef ever more unreachable. Each Chinese boat is a brick in a floating wall, enforcing Beijing's sweeping, baseless 9-line claim. The blockade grows denser by the hour, a fortress of steel and resolve. For the Philippines, the challenge is daunting. How do you confront an aggressor hiding behind a civilian facade? Every move is fraught with risk, every decision weighed against the threat of escalation. The world watches, issuing statements of concern that ring hollow. International leaders call for restraint, but their words offer little comfort to those on the front lines. The Philippines is being squeezed out of its own backyard, its sovereignty tested in real time. The encroachment is relentless, a daily erosion of national pride and security. China isn't just claiming the waters, they're occupying them, daring Manila to respond. The occupation is patient, methodical, and designed to wear down resistance. The return of the swarm is more than an incursion. It's a high-stakes challenge, a test of national resolve. For every Filipino sailor, the stakes are personal, a fight for home, for history, for the future. Diplomatic protests are no longer enough. The world waits to see what Manila will do next as the crisis at Julian Felipe Reef enters a dangerous new phase. For Filipino fishermen, the West Philippine Sea is life itself, ancestral ground, livelihood, identity. These waters have sustained their families for generations, shaping their culture and daily existence. The Chinese Armada's presence means they're barred from their richest waters, harassed, blocked, and robbed. Fear shadows every voyage, catches plummet, and the sense of security that once defined these communities is gone. Generations of coastal families face sudden poverty. The ripple effects reach every home as empty nets mean empty tables and uncertain futures. This is economic strangulation by design. China's gray zone strategy aims to break the Filipino connection to the sea, slowly eroding their will to fight for what is theirs. The fishermen are not collateral damage, they are targets in a campaign of economic and psychological coercion. Their resilience is tested daily as hope gives way to frustration. The Philippine Coast Guard and Navy are stretched thin, patrolling, documenting, and protecting as best they can. Their resources are limited and the challenge grows with every incursion. Every day is a tense cat-and-mouse game with the risk of escalation ever present. One wrong move could spark a dangerous confrontation. The nation feels helpless, sovereignty eroding before their eyes. Anxiety and anger simmer in coastal towns as people wonder if anyone is truly listening. Government protests sound like a broken record, repeated but rarely answered with real change or effective solutions. The human cost, lost income, shattered dreams, constant anxiety, mounts. Each day brings new uncertainty, and the weight of despair grows heavier. The Filipino people are desperate for a new plan. They gather, organize, and demand that their voices be heard, seeking hope and unity. The crisis is no longer just about territory, it's about survival. It's about the right to live with dignity and to pass on a legacy to the next generation. The call for action grows louder. Across the nation, the demand for justice and protection of their seas becomes impossible to ignore. In 2016, the Philippines achieved a historic legal victory at The Hague, where an international tribunal ruled in its favor, invalidating China's sweeping 9-line claim over the West Philippine Sea. This was a moment that many believed would change the course of the region's future. The world applauded the decision, Manila erupted in celebration, and the ruling was widely hailed as a powerful shield for Philippine sovereignty and a triumph for international law. Yet, out on the water, the reality was starkly different. Beijing flatly ignored the verdict, dismissing it as nothing more than waste paper, and continued its activities undeterred. Rather than backing down, China accelerated its construction of military outposts on artificial islands, further entrenching its presence and tightening its grip on the contested waters. The arbitral award, once seen as a shield, now seemed like a fragile piece of paper facing a relentless steel battering ram. Diplomatic protests from Manila piled up, each one met with silence, deflection, or outright denial from Beijing, rendering the process frustratingly repetitive. The cycle became familiar. Manila protests, China denies, and the ships remain locked in tense standoffs day after day with no real change on the horizon. This talk-and-take strategy allowed China to consolidate control, projecting an image of negotiation while steadily advancing its interests at sea. The truth is clear. International law and diplomacy, no matter how well-intentioned, are powerless against a rival that simply refuses to play by the rules. China's gray zone campaign exploits legal loopholes and thrives in ambiguity, using civilian vessels and maritime militia to blur the lines of conflict. The Philippines, relying on outdated tools and limited resources, finds itself outmatched in this new and complex kind of conflict where traditional responses fall short. A more assertive, creative, and unified approach is urgently needed, one that goes beyond paperwork and embraces innovation and resilience. The time for relying on paper victories and empty promises is over. The stakes are too high for complacency. The nation must adapt, innovate, and stand together, or risk losing not just its seas, but its future. The next move must be bold, decisive, and unwavering, because the defense of the nation's sovereignty can no longer rest on paper alone. The Philippine government pivots to a bold new strategy: swarm with swarm. Enter the Philippine Maritime Militia, a formal, state-sponsored force of trained fishermen. These civilians, experts of the sea, become the nation's eyes and ears. Not vigilantes, but a structured auxiliary under Coast Guard and Navy oversight. Their mission: surveillance, documentation, and a constant Filipino presence in contested waters. Equipped with modern gear, they patrol, report, and assert sovereignty. This is asymmetrical warfare, turning China's own tactics against it. Beijing must now choose, harass an official force or cede space. Fishermen become defenders, empowered and dignified. The militia is both a strategic tool and a symbol of national resilience. The Filipino people are taking a stand. The Philippines draws inspiration from Vietnam's successful maritime militia. Vietnam's Dan Quan Tu Ve Bien is a layered force, full-time corps units and a vast network of fishermen. Corps units are well-trained, operating robust vessels alongside the Coast Guard and Navy. The broader militia forms a distributed sensor network, relaying real-time intelligence. Integration is key. Clear command lines link fishermen to military authorities. When a Chinese incursion is spotted, official assets respond swiftly. This model provides both rapid response and persistent presence. Most importantly, it fosters national unity and patriotic vigilance. Fishermen see themselves as guardians of the maritime frontier. The Philippines aims to replicate this structure, adapting it to its own context. Success depends on galvanizing the people, not just building boats. Maritime defense becomes a whole-of-nation effort. Building the Philippine Maritime Militia starts with recruitment, experienced fishermen from affected communities. Voluntary enlistment emphasizes civic duty and local pride. Next comes training, navigation, maritime law, evidence gathering, and de-escalation. The goal is to create skilled observers, not fighters. A new fleet of standardized, durable vessels will be built, steel-hulled, equipped with radios and GPS. This shipbuilding program is vital, giving the militia the tools to patrol safely. Centralized command will integrate militia activities with the Navy, Coast Guard, and BFR. Real-time intelligence flows from sea to command, enabling rapid, coordinated responses. The bravery of fishermen is now backed by the full weight of the state. This is a unified, responsive national defense system. The militia program is more than defense, it's an engine for economic growth. Building new boats stimulates local shipyards, creating skilled jobs and revitalizing industries. Fishermen receive stipends, fuel subsidies, and maintenance support, stabilizing incomes. Safer fishing grounds mean higher catches and food security. The program boosts local economies from steel suppliers to electronics shops. Maintenance and repair create new business opportunities in coastal towns. Innovation in boat design and marine tech is spurred by local needs. The militia is an investment in people, skills, jobs, and hope. Security and prosperity go hand in hand. A national crisis becomes a catalyst for grassroots development. Technology is the great equalizer for the Philippine Maritime militia. Secure communication networks connect every vessel to central command, even in remote waters. High-definition cameras and AIS trackers allow safe, effective surveillance and documentation. Data from the militia feeds into a centralized platform, using AI to analyze and predict threats. This creates a live operational picture, accessible to all security agencies. Fishermen are trained to use secure apps, turning every smartphone into an intelligence asset. Crowdsourced intelligence makes the network resilient and extensive. Low-cost tech outpaces expensive naval ships in coverage. Technology empowers the smallest boat to make a difference. The playing field is leveled. The nation's seas are defended by both courage and code. The maritime militia is more than a strategy, it's a declaration of national will. The era of passive protest is over. Active, creative resistance begins. The Philippines draws a line in the water, signaling resolve to Beijing and the world. Success depends on national unity. This must be a cause for all Filipinos. Bayanihan spirit is needed. Defense is everyone's responsibility. Citizens can support by backing fishermen, fighting disinformation, and championing sovereignty. The militia shifts the conflict to a civilian-centric domain where the Philippines has the advantage. Archipelagic geography and seafaring heritage become strategic assets. A permanent Filipino presence reclaims lost ground, one patrol at a time. The fight is for resources, food, prosperity, and the nation's soul. The militia is a bold patriotic step, proof of Filipino resilience. The path is tough, but unity and purpose can turn the tide. The time for action is now.